Welcome back because I feel like it. This is your man Nelson, and we are getting in crucial times when it comes to the NFL. We have just a week left of football. We're going into week 18, 17, and then 18. Um, and what is wrong with the Buffalo Bills? This is what a topic of discussion because recently, in these last couple games, the Bills hasn't looked like themselves, like the 2024 team. In the recent past, they have lost a chance to win the AFC East division, and so the critical game last night or the night before, um, it's it says a lot about the Buffalo Bills, and you see my brick background because when your back is against the wall and you're fighting for a playoff seed. It's time to still come out swinging. So we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about um, the seeding. We're going to talk about Joe Brady and what he and some of his comments, and we're just going to touch on the perspective of the Bills. This is, I would say, a perfect time to to be excited as a Buffalo Bills fan. Perfect time to get together, and it's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome to get together as a Buffalo Bills fan to tailgate, to get your tables ready. Um, it's also a perfect time to get everything ready for the playoffs because we do have 100% chance of getting in the playoffs. It's just where we're going to place. So with that being said, I just want to make sure that we have a clear understanding that the Buffalo Bills um, has the AFC table set for them. For the first time ever, there is no Chiefs that's going to stand in our way. Um, there is no Patrick Mahomes, um, and looks like Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens could or could not make the playoffs. Um, and so here's the awesome thing is that the table is set to have us get a win on the road. Because I know it's not going to come through Buffalo. Um, the only guys in team and defense that scares me is the Houston Texans. These guys' defensive front is immaculate. These guys, they have every element in their front four to cause havoc, and the Texans own us. Then you got Jacksonville, who is a surprise this year. But with the influence of Trevor Lawrence and Travis Hunter, that offense is pretty elite. Um, and then you got uh, the Patriots, and they're going to get a first round bye and probably win the AFC East for the first time in 5 years. And so it's amazing how things have turned. Um, so next week we got a bye. Um, and with that being said, we can definitely rest up. Um, and once we rest up, and get, a week of work underneath our belt, um, it's going to be awesome. But once again, you see this brick background, and please like and subscribe, and follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. But we have to come out swinging. It's an uphill climb. We have to at least win 5 games straight, to get back to the Super Bowl. So Joe Brady basically said after the game, after the loss, that there's something to continue to build on. So we played the Eagles, and the Eagles are defending champs, even though they don't think so because it's a new season, and I respect that. And it was a low scoring game. It was 13-12. Now, there was inclement weather, um, and it was a downpour. So naturally, you have to make adjustments. Naturally, you have to, you know, edit your game plan. You have to, make some changes and go with, a vanilla package, because it's hard to throw the ball in downpour because the ball is heavy, the leather gets soaked, and but we did that. So we had some big plays. Um, we had about 3 or 4 big plays from receivers that you probably never heard of. And so, with that being said, we looked as good as possible in the rain. But the only thing is that once you miss field goal, it comes back to you. I think my special teams coach, when I was playing for Eastern Michigan University, he said a turnover or a missed field goal is equal to 4.3 points. So a turnover and a field goal, a missed field goal or a missed extra point is equal to 4.3 points. So that means you're giving back the team which you are playing against those points and you leave them on the board. And so here's the thing. I understand that. And it's clear that the extra point played a factor and the trust factor of not having that confidence in your kicker plays a factor. So if you remember how the game went, the Eagles didn't score for a period of time, and defense was stopping defense, and but we were driving down the field. James Cook ran the ball, and we had some long bomb throws, but we had some mishaps. There was one play in particular. Josh Allen decided to put on his Superman cape, and he scrambled around for a good 5 minutes, and he just didn't make a play. That's typical Josh Allen. Trying to make something out of nothing. I get it. And there was a particular play where they got down to the red zone. It was fourth down, and the defense for the Eagles made a superb stop, and his elbow hit the the end zone line, and he did not get in. So you know, I've been saying this all along. Run the ball, okay, especially in inclement weather. Josh Allen, he's known for making the spectacular play. Scrambling, finding open receivers, passing the ball, um, and he fell short twice in the red zone. But we're going to get to that. So it's not often that as a Buffalo Bills fan, you're on the edge. You're literally on the edge. Like you're literally like you're. It's like watching a suspenseful movie. Like you're like, what's going to happen, right? And you're like, oh, is she going to fall? Is the killer going to come? And with the chainsaw, or are they going to open the door and someone's going to pop out? Like an interception. That sporadically will happen in a pivotal moment of the game. And so that's what you do. You kind of stay on edge. Now, just to kind of get to the stats, because it was a low scoring game. So Jalen Hurts only threw for 110 yards, and Josh Allen threw for 262. That's because of the long downfield passes. That was pretty immaculate. So some names that you probably don't know, but you had Cooks, with a nice little game, 101 yards. You had Shavers, you had Shakur. Of course, he's prominent. He's our slot receiver. He's pretty much like the second guy. And then you had, Knox and Johnson. And I'm saying these last names because that's just that's how I would do. That's just football. You talk about the last names, but the key guys, Josh Allen and James Cook. James Cook ran for 74 yards. All right, the longest run he had was 10, and he averaged 3.7 yards a carry. But if you look at the game, it was because they were driving downfield. Saquon Barkley had a meaningful 68 yards. Okay, the longest he had was 16, and it was crucial. But Jalen Hurts did not throw an interception. Okay, he did not make a mistake what they usually do. But Josh Allen had 5 sacks. Okay, and so if you look at the course of the game, there was meaningful plays and meaningful passes when needed on the Eagle side for Jalen Hurts, and that's what he does. He's very calculated and he uses his mind. But like with Josh Allen, it's more of like a Superman. Like he has to do it, and he has to put on the cape to save the team. Um, so with that being said, it's frustrating to lose like the way we did, and it's frustrating to see how we lost because if we'd have made that field goal, then we would have just kicked an extra point to win the game. But since we did miss that field goal, we had to go for a 2-point conversion. And with the 2-point conversion, as a coach, as a fan, I give two perspectives. As a coach, yes, go for it because you don't want to give any more time to the Eagles in overtime to win the game. Okay. You want to dead it, you want to end it, you want to go home, and you've been driving all game. Your Josh Allen has thrown over 200 yards. He has dissected the defense, and it's critical. So go for it. And so with being in the red zone, yes, we had some red zone woes. We got stopped a couple times, but one thing in particular is that Sean McDermott trusts Josh Allen, and as a Buffalo Bill fan, time and time again, Josh Allen has answered the bell, and has scored in the red zone in crucial times. And so it was just a no-brainer to go for two. And if you remember, if you watched the game, previous play was a tush push, our version of a tush push, where we scored, and we got the touchdown. Now, some people might say, well, do it again, right? You go on the 2-yard line, or run the ball to Cook, but the play they ran was designed pretty uniquely. So it was a flood play, and so the receivers pretty much flow to the right, and then Secure stopped his route and broke out to the left. And if you watch the end zone view, the defense was playing zone, and they flowed to the offense. So they flowed with the receivers that were doing streams, shallow routes to the right side. And so what Secure did is that he just broke off his route, pivot off his left foot, and went back the other way. Now, as you know, if you're a football player or if you're a football fan or if you even played any type of sport, misdirection is killer. All right, misdirection gets you an advantage, and misdirection allows you to fake out the defense. So Shakur's misdirection had him wide open as he was running across the opposite way. Now, Josh Allen is right-handed, and Josh Allen uh, has a strong arm. And so when he threw the ball, you could tell he was trying to use his arms instead of positioning his body to throw to a point to where Secure was going. And when he threw off his back foot, the ball died in the air and didn't reach Secure. Matter of fact, Secure's hand was reached out, and the ball ended in the grass. So I was in my car coming back, celebrating my son's birthday, and I saw the play on my phone, and I literally exploded in the car. And my wife looked at me and she just said, "Okay, it's time to go in the house." So she went to the house, but I just I had to sit there for a minute, and as you see, Josh Allen's reaction. Josh Allen's reaction when he threw the ball and his hands went to his head and he took off his helmet and he looked and he said, an explicit word. And he knew he messed up because he knew the game was in his hands. He knew the play was perfect and he knew Shakir was wide open. He just didn't execute. And he said that after the press conference. He said, I just didn't execute. So that is it's tough. We were 11-5 now. And as far as our seeding, we're six. Um, the only thing is that when you're a low seed, then you got to play the high seed. So we're gonna have to go to someone else's stadium to play them. Um, with Buffalo playing on the road, I think the last game we won a playoff game was at Miami. So it's crucial. Uh, it's going to be uphill climb. Um, and if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, it's a it's a win, but it's a loss. So you can have a moral victory. Okay, the win is to know that we're going to the playoff, but the moral victory is that we have a low seed, right? And we had a chance to win a division. Uh, we could have had, I think we're a game away from the Patriots. So you just have to take a breath. Um, and the thing about the Buffalo Bills is you're loyal, and you're blue and blue. So blue collar, you know, pin it down and press forward, because that's what's going to happen. We have to move forward, and we have to have, uh, resilience. And here's another thing what's wrong with the Buffalo Bills, and this is what we can't do in the playoffs once we get there. We can't let teams go up. We can't let teams have a 2 or 3 touchdown lead. Um, Reason being is because some teams won't let off the gas. Some teams will take that 2 or 3 touchdown lead and make it to a 4 or 5, and then we're playing catch up. I noticed that in the last couple games that are that we let teams go up, and our defense seemed like it wakes up in the second or third quarter. That's that's something that we have to take control of. That's something that Sean McDermott has to recognize with his defensive coordinator, because Joe Brady calls a great offense. He really does, but we really have to nip that in the bud, because in the playoffs, there's no tomorrow. There's no coming back from that, and it's pretty much a wrap. And we will leave the playoffs and have an early exit and be on the boat fishing if we continue to play that way. Now I get it. Our defense is riddled with injuries. I get it, but one thing in particular we have to do is get healthy this off season. We have to get healthy this off week, this bye week, and then we play the Jets. So, whew, man, as a Buffalo Bills fan, it's kind of like a question mark this year. Do we sit and wait for who we play in the playoffs, or do we just be blind to who we play and just execute our plan? Um, hang on, Bills Mafia. This ain't nothing new to us. We are still winners. We are still AFC East champs. But we just have to really get it together. Our backs are against the wall right now. And Sean McDermott, once again, when an NFL team loses, it goes back on 2 people: the quarterback and the head coach. It goes back to the quarterback and the head coach. And so, who is it to blame? right? Do you call it? Is it the play calling? Is it the scheme? Is it the is it the is it the offense? Is it the defense? Is it the special teams? Everybody wants someone to blame, right? Point the finger to. But collectively, what is talked about in the locker room stays in the locker room. And so, Joe Brady said something to build on, and even the guts to go for it in the red zone, and then go for that 2-point conversion to end the game. Hats off to Joe Brady for making that call, and Sean McDermott to to confirm it. Because everything goes through Joe, and so just what can you do at this point, right? The good thing is that we're going to make the playoffs. It's just who we're going to play. Um, so with the playoff picture right now, there's a plethora of teams that are good right now. Plethora of teams, especially and just to speak on the NFC West. The NFC West is solid. You got LA Rams who lost last night to a solid Atlanta Falcons team. You got this San Francisco 49ers who just won their game. Chris McCaffrey looks amazing. And then you got Seattle. Seattle is awesome. Seattle is a sleeper. Seattle is a team oriented. They got all facets from special teams down to defense and offense. They play with all three factors. Um, but you know, because we lost, just kind of go over the AFC right now. Got the number one seed in Denver. Shout outs to them, man. They a whole night and day, the whole 180. Shout out to the Chargers. That would be the sixth seed, and then the fifth seed. You got the Texans. This is just all projected. The second seed. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go from sixth. I'm gonna go from seventh to first. So the seventh seed is Buffalo. The sixth seed is Los Angeles Chargers. The fifth seed is Houston. The fourth seed is Pittsburgh. The third seed is Jacksonville. The second seed is New England, and the first seed is Denver. So of course, second plays the seventh. The third play the sixth, and the fourth play the fifth. So if the playoffs would start right now, okay, if the playoffs would start right now, we will play the New England Patriots. And how sweet that would be if we can go beat them. And if the playoffs start right now, the sixth seed, so the Los Angeles Chargers will play Jacksonville, and then Houston will play the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, and then we might as well go over to the NFC. So in the NFC, the seventh seed will be Green Bay Packers. Shout out to Artie. The sixth seed will be the Los Angeles Rams. The fifth seed would be the San Francisco 49ers. The fourth seed, surprisingly, would be Carolina. The third seed would be the Philadelphia Eagles. The second would be the surging and hungry Bears, Chicago Bears, and then the first seed would be Seattle. Okay, and so if the playoffs start right now, and then we know, week 18 there's going to be week 17 there's going to be wins and losses and scenarios and who gets this, but it's all for seeding, right? But if the playoffs start right now, that's what the AFC NFC projection looks like. With Denver being the number one seed in the AFC, and then in the NFC, the number one seed is Seattle. So, we're at the bottom. Okay, we're at the bottom. That loss really hurt us as far as positioning and as the seed. We could have got the fifth or sixth seed with that win, and then we could have won the AFC East. But now it looks like we gotta, go on the road and play in New England, or go on the road and play, at Jacksonville. It depends, right? And we were known, in history past to beat Jacksonville in the playoffs. And we did lose to Jacksonville one time before as well. So it seems like it's either, we got to play the Patriots or Jacksonville. Who I don't want to play if any scenario comes up, which it doesn't look like it, but I don't want to play the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans are going to surprise a lot of people, and given so because the Houston Texans have been in the playoffs the last couple of years, and they just was one play away, or one throw away from making it to the AFC Championship. But surprisingly enough, as you notice, the teams in the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs is not there. And that's been our nemesis. The Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Worthy, uh, and they're not there. So that's refreshing. Like the pathway to the Super Bowl is there for us. And then, you know, of course, we know there's other members. Shout out to Marcus. He's an Eagles fan. You guys, your path is pretty tough too. Um, your path is you might have to go through Seattle, the Bears, and the Rams. You got them last year, and they almost took you guys out. But I know you guys are winning. It may not be pretty. It might not be. It was ugly because y'all. It was an ugly win against the Buffalo Bills. With the rain coming down and the run game and the pass game. But you guys get the job done, and that's all that matters. Win, win, baby, win, as Al Davis said. Win, baby, win. So, man, it's a surprising year. With the Bears and the Panthers. It's a surprising year. With Denver. But that's the thrill about watching the NFL. Everybody's talking about a script. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about a script. I don't know whether that's true or not. But I just know that the Buffalo Bills, the backs against the wall, baby. And as you know, Bills Mafia, we move silent like lasagna, you know what I'm saying? Like the G, you know what I'm saying? We move, but we're gonna have to readjust, man. We really have to find a way to win games, and not let teams get up on us and not play catch up. Continue with the run game. Give Cook the ball, give Cook the ball, and let him burn. Let him run down the field. Let him get in that kitchen. Let him season up the chicken. Let him get the macaroni cheese with 5 different cheeses and run the ball. Run the ball. And as far as our points, we have been putting up points in previous games. It's just we're trying to outlast the other team. We always have a shootout. We can't do that. We can't have a shootout. We can't have a shootout. And then when games get close, like it was against the Eagles just recently, we have to execute. The Buffalo Bills, their defense is in the bottom 15, but our offense is in the top 10. And it's never been a problem to score. It's never been a problem to move the ball down the field. Like our offensive package is just amazing. When it comes to getting down the field, it really is. So it's not about the scoring aspect, and it's not about the play calling. Right, the play calling is there. It's just sometimes Josh Allen, he has his ways. Okay, we all know that as a Buffalo Bills fan, he has his ways, and sometimes he gets a little finicky, a little frazzled when the blitz package comes. Sometimes he scrambles around and trying to put the Superman cape on, and he allows himself to get in predicaments to where it doesn't look good. Percentage wise of throwing the ball away or turning over the ball is high, and so that's one thing that's Achilles' heel for Josh Allen. He needs to learn how to just throw the ball away, and just live to see another down, live to see another play, another possession, another series. Right? That's the only thing that I can see what's wrong with the Buffalo Bills, and our defense. We can't. We gotta tighten up our run defense. And we our secondary is okay. They're pretty average, but and it seems like in crucial times the defense will steps up. But we can't let it'd be 24-14 going into the third quarter. You know, we have come back against the Baltimore Ravens. We've come back against other teams, and that's been our story this year. You know, we're the comeback kids. And then Josh Allen puts on his Superman cape, and then he's like Captain America. He saves the day, but that's not going to work in the playoffs. That is not going to work in the playoffs. Guarantee it. But what do you think? You know, what is your comments? Um, you know, everybody is waiting for the Bills to make it back to the Super Bowl and win. Yes, you know, history shows that we are 0-4, but the football gods has a plan for us, right? And our back is against the wall. I can't reiterate enough because it's monumental that the Kansas City Chiefs are not in our way anymore. Baltimore Ravens, they could not be in our way anymore. And so that's Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes that is out, and potentially, you know, for as well, the Ravens, you know, they have a slight chance, but you know, it's a path we got to, you know, deal with. You know, Trevor Lawrence, CJ Stroud. We have to deal with um, Bo Nix. You know, so it's just what do you want, Buffalo? You know, I'm just a mere fan. You know, that's been a fan since '92. And you know, I want us to finally get over the hump. Is this the year that we start fighting and winning and getting to the Super Bowl? No, I said this before and I'll say this again. I would love to have an Eagles and Bills Super Bowl. I would love to see the Philadelphia Eagles play the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl. Okay, that would be my dream to see that. Okay, and hopefully it happened one year, and it may be this year. Man, it's your boy Nelson giving you just a tidbit of what's going on with the Buffalo Bills, and what is right with them is that we're going to make the playoffs. What is right with them is that we have a great offense. What is right with them is that we're Brazilian, and we're going to come back, and you can never count us out in any game. Right? That's what's right with them. Um, let's continue on the path, Buffalo. Let's continue to execute, and let's continue to win the game we're supposed to win. Okay, because we got the Jets coming up after this bye week. And let's go ahead and get that, you know, get that win, continue that momentum in the playoffs, and then hey, we could, you know, take on, you know, a good team in Jacksonville, or a good team. Um, so let's see. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Um, I think we got a good chance to beat the Patriots. You know, we beat them last time, right? We know how we got look at film, and you know, let's just win, baby. You know, let's satisfy. Let's not say what if Sean McDermott or Joe Brady. Let's not just, you know, think hindsight 2020, right? Let's not get to that point. Let's seize the moment, right, and execute our play. All right, signing off, man. Because I feel like, make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you go to our Twitter page. Make sure you go to our Instagram page, man, and for more content. All right. Have a happy new year, and live life, man, to the fullest. All right. Peace. Until next time.